pleasure to serve the school with a dedicated group of individuals who sit on the board and executive team. What's unique and special about JDS is our outstanding community. From our current families who are the heartbeat of our school today to our alum and families who remind us how important JDS and our mission is. I truly am reminded every day about JDS's mission through my son Tice. He's happy, he's learning, he's thriving, and he loves being a JDS Jaguar and is super excited to be a fourth grader next year. So I will start by giving tonight's the President's Service Award. As I said earlier, I'm honored to be working with such an outstanding board, and there are a lot of individuals who give tirelessly to JDS. And one person stands out that goes above and beyond, Hada. I would love to thank you. She chairs the real estate task force, all on top of leading board governance. And now I'd like to recognize our outgoing board members. This evening, Sharon Farrick is unfortunately not here tonight, but in addition to her board role, Sharon was active for many years on PA and development committees. She brings her heart and creativity to everything JDS, including doing action centerpieces and student photos at our annual fund. And now I'd like to recognize Jerry Junius. There you are. Jerry has given countless years of leadership and service to JDS as a member of the board, executive, and finance committees. We thank you in advance for continuing to sit on the finance committee for eternity. Thank you for your careful thought and wisdom and exceptional generosity. We talk about upstanders here at JDS, and you and Lori truly embody the spirit of our school and our community. Board business of tonight, where we approve and install our new board trustees. In your programs, you can find the glamour shots and bios of our new trustees. And this is a community vote, and so you can all participate. Hada?
I move to approve and install Robert Gershberg, Jeff Macduff, Dodie Nove, and Tad Pearl to the JDS Board of Trustees.
I second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thank you to the new board members and welcome to the board.
I want to introduce our outgoing PA chairs, Tria Diamond and Dikla Rafalovich. They did a tremendous job this year. Engaging our families in events and coordinating volunteers together. They took on the back to school picnic and family camp. They were a strong team and they were great partners with the school and also with me personally. Thank you both. Thank you.
select the Volunteer of the Year award. And to be honest, it is an embarrassment of riches. We are so lucky to have a highly engaged, super capable body of parents that are willing to give up their personal time to make our schools succeed. To all of you, we appreciate you and thank you for the hours you have so generously donated. Out of this outstanding group, our Volunteer of the Year has emerged as a standout year over year. Throughout her time as a JDS parent, this year's award recipient has volunteered in nearly every event the school has held. She has been a room parent for many years across a span of grades. She co-chaired Family Camp, Abdallah and S'mores, and Special Friends Day. She has showcased her cooking and baking skills at the annual meeting and spaghetti dinner. For the auction, she is an all-hands-on-deck with anything from picking up procurement items to mail stuffing to set up the day of, and has done this for years. She's instrumental in organizing the book fair, and in fact, her volunteer efforts are so extensive that she even extends them to her husband and volunteers him. Finally, she had the vision to help enhance her JDS kitchen last year, which she and her father so generously made happen. The improvements have been tremendous and very wonderful for all of us. This gesture was inspired by her booby, Marge Weissman, Zichronah Livracha, their love of cooking and baking together and celebrating Jewish holidays around food in the kitchen. Because of her and her family, JDS gets to create food-based Jewish memories too. This list is simply the highlights and far from complete list of her events. We are so appreciative of all of her energy, time, and willingness to volunteer for JDS. So please join me in recognizing this year's Volunteer of the Year, Rachel Schnitzer.
To thank all of the amazing volunteers that help the development office and the entire school get their jobs done. So in particular, I wanted to thank Heather Lader and Nancy Toper. There's Nancy, if you want to come up here. Co-chaired this year's Parent Annual Fund, and it was expertly managed and beautifully navigated, and for the fourth year in a row, we had 100% parent participation, which is still and I am excited to introduce one of our co-chairs for next year's annual fund, which is Narkis. Mid-year this year, and she's been really active as a mom and a volunteer at the school with the co-chairing the annual fund. Next year is going to be her introduction to the development world, and I'm really excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. I wanted to move on to our second, we have two main fundraisers in the year, the annual fund and the auction. And the auction and gala is a ton of work. And I just wanted to specifically thank Catherine and Samara. Samara couldn't be here tonight, she's in India, but Catherine and Samara both raised the school a ton of money and exceeded our goals, but also really fun party. And we just want to say a special thank you because it really is a ton of work. Samara wrapped up her second year of co-chairing the auction this year, and Catherine knocked it out of the park and is going to be co-chairing the auction again this coming year. And we're excited to announce that Alicia Koster is going to be co-chairing. We're excited for that partnership and to see what kind of creative things that they cook up for us. And we're still finalizing the date of next year's auction, so stay tuned to save the date on that. And that's all I have.
We have some faculty and staff to recognize tonight for their years of service to JDS. So first, we're going to begin with the 5 years of service. We recognize Anna Brown.
Do you know what it is?
Rachel Shear. And Melissa Rickey. Okay, now for the big one. We have 4 staff members who have dedicated 20 years of their career to JDS. Pam Auerbach, who is and her husband David relocated from the East Coast, enrolling their daughters Natanya and Ariana at JDS, which led to Pam's position. Pam's initial career in architecture makes her the perfect scheduling and campus problem solver. Pam's often the earliest riser at JDS, 4:30, tending to substitute nature needs and other school details. We thank Pam for 20 years of dedication to our school and community. Linda Feldman arrived at JDS midway through the year to co-teach in 2nd grade. She embraced that potentially challenging transition through ease and seamlessly integrated into JDS's learning community. Most recently, Linda has brought her gift to younger elementary students assisting in our K-1 village. She's a perfect combination of calm, grace, and style, and children always benefit from their time with her. We thank Linda for 20 years of dedication. Nelson Quijada. JDS is very fortunate to have Nelson on its staff. He's an exceptional maintenance man who knows how to fix anything from a clock to a hot water heater. He can build items too. Nelson is the one who removed all of the non-functioning PA systems in each of the classrooms, repaired all the walls in the process, and also built the benches. He's a valuable asset to us here at JDS, and we truly appreciate his efforts. We thank Nelson for 20 years. Marcy Gelman. Marcy is deeply dedicated to Jewish education and values and brought her children to JDS as students before she even started working here. Marcy brings sensitivity, compassion, patience, wisdom, deep knowledge and experience to her work with young and old, students, teachers, and parents, reminding us all of why we are here. As a professional, Marcy is committed to working to the highest standards and furthering her own growth. Marcy, we are so appreciative and so lucky to have you here at JDS. Thank you for 20 years of dedication to our school.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to say a few words. I'm so appreciative of this wonderful acknowledgement of my years at JDS, and I'm really honored to be standing here. I was excited to join the JDS faculty 20 years ago, and it's been a continuous blessing for me to be so closely involved in the life of the school all these years later. Having the opportunity to form such meaningful connections with all of you as we've journeyed together through the growth and learning of your children means the world to me and brings me incredible happiness. Collaborating with our devoted staff, our dynamic educators, our brilliant administrators and head of school is a source of ongoing growth for me. It's amazing to reflect back on 20 years at JDS. As with life, JDS has gone through some changes, but there are changes like faces, the number of students, the look of the classrooms, and the educational practices. But what has remained constant, and I think is even stronger, is the impact that an individual can make here, the response to and appreciation of each student, and the opportunities to be connecting as a community and the best educational cutting-edge practices in the classroom. So the collaborative spirit is stronger than ever amongst our faculty and with our students, and that fills me with joy. JDS has felt like home to me personally and as a professional, and I'm overjoyed to be standing here and look forward to continuing on with more great accomplishments for our school.
Okay, moving on. It's time. Ida, would you start us off, please?
We are pleased to share our second year at JDS Better Together and Beyond with you tonight. The presentation is being recorded, and you'll receive an email with the presentation and recording for your viewing pleasure. Recommend that you pop some popcorn and we won't have time actually during the presentation tonight to take questions, but we are asking you to please stay afterwards. There will be leadership and folks available to continue the conversation and ask your questions. And moving forward, we will continue to communicate quarterly to the community. But I'd like to begin with the mission of our school, which is strong and continues to guide us in who we are as a school. To provide an exceptional education that empowers Jewish children to be confident, wise, and compassionate upstanders who are committed to lifelong learning and community stewardship.
So this time last year, we embarked on JDS Better Together and shared these initiatives with you. We have come a long way in just a year. We launched Villages in the elementary school. Our classes are larger, vibrant, more balanced in size and gender. Your children have a broader group of peers for social and academic growth. That circle didn't stop at the classrooms. All of JDS is more connected physically and through all-school recess and lunch. And we come together Jewishly for all-school Shabbat, once a month, dinosaurs included. And the circle grows wider still. Our 8th graders went to Israel with the 8th grade from Yavna School in California and formed strong bonds, enriching their experience and building an expanded global community. This will continue for next year's 8th grade. We established an elementary space, school STEM space, allowing our students more access to science. All of our elementary students, EC through 5th, more than elementary, got to be part of the salmon hatching and the salmon growth. We implemented new science curriculum to follow the national science standards. And Newton's Auto Expo and the revised Science and Curiosity Fair, now the Tikkun Olam project, redirected the focus to project-based learning and finding solutions for current problems. As with all inquiry, the last step of learning is for the students to teach what they've learned to the members of the community, from the youngest members to their peers, all the way to parents. We implemented new lunch policies and holiday camps. The camps were very well attended. Our final camp is this coming Monday, and sign-ups and Friday morning. Next year, we will offer holiday camps again, along with conference day camps. This year's elementary school aftercare program had low attendance. Next year, we'll provide a new model of activity-based care for elementary students. We recognize the importance of after-school care for our families, and there will be an option for every grade, every day. We reorganized our classrooms to bring them closer together, and we refreshed them all, which you all can see. The EC, the elementary, and the middle school classrooms. Our physical environment now matches our educational philosophy. You can see it in the general studies classrooms that spill out onto the light-filled playfield, to the Lego and the magnet walls in the community room, and the deliberately calming and limited paint palette. Teachers can laugh about because there's a whole thing at the beginning of the year. Palette. We brought Bellevue Discovery Preschool onto our campus. We refer to them as the invisible tenant. They bring revenue to our campus, allowing us to maintain our multiple buildings. And the Real Estate Task Force convened to assess the Jewish Community Campus and other real estate initiatives. Hada will give an update later in the presentation. So this is the beyond part of JDS, of Better Together, because we've accomplished so much more than just the initiatives. First, our families. All of you are engaged so deeply in our school. As you heard from Kelly, 100% of our families participated in the annual fund. Oh, sorry. We had high attendance at our PA events, including family camp. We've had remarkable volunteer support for all these events and for the book fair, and all of our classes had get-togethers outside of school. No, it's working. Sorry, I'm looking there, so there's a delay for me. We've partnered with multiple community organizations. The Samus Foundation provided additional support to us this year for our 8th grade Israel experience, and they also provided weekly collaboration with a behavior specialist from the Herring Center at University of Washington. We also engaged in joint programming with PJ Library and the JCC. Nance Adler was published in the anthology. It's being done in social studies and received a grant to teach a class on upstanders this summer in Australia. And Courtney Peterson presented at the annual conference of the Northwest Council for Computer Education in Seattle, and she'll present in a few weeks at the Avichai Foundation Showcase in New York City. She's also co-leading the Samus Technology cohort next year. And Rachel Shear and Randy Gardner presented at the NWAIS Fall Educators Conference this past year. Jordan Shaviro won first place in the Centropa Student Film Festival with her film I and Sienna Casari was first runner-up. With one brave act, we swept the contest. Shelley Bosley won first place for art in the Holocaust Center for Humanities 2019 Writing, Art, and Film Contest. And finally, my apologies, Linda, I hope I'm not stealing your thunder, through Mileage Club, our students ran nearly 6,000 cumulative miles. That is nearly 1,000 miles more than last year. And the Mileage Club ceremony is Friday, right after drop-off. So join us there, celebrate. This is great, I get to plug so much. Okay. It's no surprise to any of you that we have some challenges and some opportunities ahead of us. We need more students. We're not alone. Religious schools of all kinds and Jewish schools across the nation have experienced declining enrollment over the past 10 years. The good news is that this year we have more applications for the coming year than we had in the past 3 years. We're bringing on new faculty. We're dedicated to investing more resources for compensation and mentoring to further enhance our strong teaching staff. And we need to continue investing in our school. We need to further strengthen our programs so our students can have the best possible academic and school experience. So we are really greatly supported to meet these challenges and take advantage of these opportunities. Our families are dedicated and invested in our school. In the past 2 weeks, several parents, multiple parents have come forward to step up into leadership positions, both for the board and for the PA. JDS has strong teacher, leaders, and staff to mentor and support new faculty. An entire onboarding plan is already in place. And JDS's web of dedicated families goes far beyond those of you in this room and our current families. It extends for years and it is strong. Last week, a room full of these families pulled together and let me know that they would ensure that JDS had the resources to invest in faculty. I was honored to be in this room. So we can't stand still. As Einstein said, life is like a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. As we have shared, we continue to go forward with our exploration of the Jewish community campus on Mercer Island. That the Jewish campus will be built is not confirmed, and of course, JDS has not yet decided to be a part of it. However, we continue with that journey, and tonight you will hear more details. In order to continue with this exploration, and to continue to invest in our school, we need to optimize our campus in the next few years. How can we do that? One way is to fully use our property. We have had great success with our renters, including Bellevue Discovery and the multiple renters we have after school and in the summer. We have additional space and additional revenue will give us the opportunity to invest more strongly in our buildings, our faculty, and most importantly, in our students. And now Hada, going to move on to our real estate update.
Hello, my name is Hada Mezastrano, and I'm the chair of the JDS Real Estate Task Force. I'm going to give you some updates tonight. As you are aware, JDS is working to optimize our campus. And we're doing that by looking at different ways to benefit from and to utilize our property. One potential, as Vivian mentioned, is looking at additional renter opportunities. Another, which we communicated to you last month, is the pending offer on our property. Nothing has changed with the status of the offer. We continue to negotiate terms for moving forward. That said, and I want you to hear very clearly, we will not sell our property unless we are ready to do so.
Say it again.
We will not.
Say it again.
There is a lot of detail and a lot of strategy around evaluating these different options. And I can tell you that the board, along with the task force and with the advice of real estate professionals, is knee-deep in working through this analysis. So, let's see. The goal of working through and analyzing these different options is to make sure that whatever avenue we choose is the one that meets JDS's needs on JDS's timeline. JDS comes first, and we have to make sure that it all fits. Next, I would like to share an update on the proposed Jewish community campus on Mercer Island. As Vivian mentioned, JDS continues to be part of the feasibility assessment of that campus. I serve as the JDS representative at the campus group, and Vivian and Ida also participate in different capacities. In addition to the organization representatives, the campus group has the benefit of incredible community advisors. And I'll share with you the community advisors are Audrey Kuffner, Judy Greenstein, Ron Liebson, Stan Rosen, and Elaine Sulkin. Each one of these individuals brings a very different lens and perspective to the campus discussions, and we are really fortunate to have the advice and the expertise of these people in the room. So, after our last round of parent coffees at JDS, we learned that many of our families are eager to learn more about the Jewish community campus itself. And we are happy to oblige. So to that end, we have invited two of our community advisors here tonight, Elaine Sulkin and Judy Greenstein, who do not need any introduction, but I will leave it to them to share their connection to JDS with you. And we also have the project managers, SOJ, Ben and Ethan here to kind of talk through some of the process going on at the campus level. So with that, I will turn it over to Elaine and Judy. Thank you.
So my name is Elaine Sulkin. This is doesn't look exactly like my twin sister, but she sort of is, Judy Greenstein. I'm going to be really brief. I have a 32-year-old daughter who gifted me with a 7-month-old, of course it was a newborn, now it's a 7-month-old. But Levi's nickname is #class of32, which means he'll be in the 2032 graduating class. And I tell you that because when Ari came to JDS, we lived on the western side of Queen Anne, western slope of Queen Anne. It was quite a journey here. And I think this will speak to everyone in the room. We came because of the child we wanted to raise, an amazing academic and inspirational happenings inside the classroom, wherever it was. And I will fast forward with 3 graduates from this school, one who graduated high school yesterday. It is truly been said repeatedly, the most extraordinary gift I ever could give any of my children and hope to participate in giving my grandchild is the gift of this education. And I want to in particularly thank my friend Marcy Dillman, who has dedicated so much of her life to the school and has impacted my kids. And today, to work together with Hada and Ida, who are extraordinary leaders, and I most exceptionally want to give praise and thank you to the extraordinary head of school that is running this institution with grace and brilliance. So thank you, Vivian.
So I'm Judy Greenstein. 15 years ago, I sent our first son to JDS, and we have since had 4 children coming to the school. And why did we pick JDS? Lots of great schools around. There were 2 things. We were looking for who were the people we wanted our children to be, and of course we wanted to give them an incredibly rigorous, exciting education. And as we all know, our kids spend a long part of their day in school. And the place where I knew I wanted to support all our kids are going to rise to their level of whatever they rise to, where I wanted to make sure I had extra hands, extra eyes, extra hearts was making sure these kids were extraordinary human beings. Because they are lifelong learners, but I want to make sure that as human beings, they were everything they could be before they were out of my sight. And I could not have asked for more than what they received here. It was an extraordinary education. And when I think about, when we look at the kids, just yesterday our kids graduated, what are the other ways you look at what's the success of how we're launching our kids? We're looking at who they are as people. To be honest, we're looking at where are they going to high school, where are they going to college. The kids from just our class alone, from just the small body of parents that are sitting on the board here, Barnard, Dartmouth, Harvard, Williams, Tulane, Brown, USC, NYU, Georgetown School of Foreign Service, BU. So these kids are all learning extraordinary things, and they're going into their high schools as leaders and really taking their schools by storm. They're coming into these schools as really well-formed human beings. So that's sort of what did they get out of this education? But when we came here, we didn't come, there was no gym, the fields weren't built big, we didn't come for the buildings, we didn't come for the campus. We came because the staff here was extraordinary. The staff here continues to be extraordinary because we do have people like Nance who have been here for so long, and Missy who came in and brought, and staff come and they grow and they leave their indelible mark on all of our kids. And we have consistently brought extraordinary teachers to this school. And that when I came back, that was the one thing I was so excited to see. So that's what really brought us here. This could have been a tent, but inside this tent was so much that meant enormous things to my husband and me that we were willing to drive from wherever we drove to be in that tent. So for 38 years, the school has been delivering an excellent education over and over and over and over again. So what's next? There's a broad swath of community leaders, and lucky for JDS, within that broad swath of community leaders, and this says something too, are an extensive number of JDS alumni parents. When you think about it, these are leaders from all different aspects of the community, and they all chose to set, at some point or another, they were attached to JDS, which is an important something. And once again, when we thought about who are the people that we want our kids growing up with, who are the people that I respect that have the values that we have, they are looking at enriching the Pacific Northwest Jewish community by trying to put together a Jewish campus. And does that make sense? And on that campus, it would be a center of spirituality and learning and mixed generation and an entire swath of cradle-to-grave Jewish life. And not just Jewish life for the Jews, but Jewish life for the Pacific, for the region. Because we're not here just to be among ourselves, we're here to be a part of the community. So, with that in mind, the idea is, how do we create a place with strong Jewish education, Jewish values, Jewish service, Jewish arts, Jewish culture, Jewish food, an opportunity to pool resources? How do we not stretch an already extensive Jewish community to use so many resources in different places? Can we pool all those resources for shared facilities, whether they be gyms or pools or lunchrooms or catering or all kinds of innovative things that we can start to deliver and possibly begin on a campus and then radiate out to all the other parts of the community, parts of the city. So there should be year-round programming. How can we provide things like extensive before and after school care that just doesn't sit on the shoulders of the day school? So if you look at the economies of scale, how can we benefit a multitude of Jewish agencies by putting them under one roof? That's what we're trying to look at right now and trying to get, and for the first time ever, we have a number of Jewish agencies sitting at the table, which is extraordinary. And everybody is looking to raise all, they say rising tides raise all boats. Everybody sees the benefit in what this might mean for each individual organization by acting like putting on their community cap. So that's the vision. It's no small task. We admire JDS enormously because the fact that JDS is sitting belly up to the bar with these other agencies says an extraordinary thing for JDS, because it's going to be through the first agencies that get together and decide that they can envision this big, beautiful community so that everybody else can come on board and join. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have afterwards. We have brought on extraordinary talent. This is not being led. It was started within the community, but we all know it's bigger than us. And we brought on some of the finest talent that the Pacific North, frankly in the country, that have put together, that make what we're trying to do look like child's play. So I don't know if you want to introduce SOJ? Would you like me to introduce?
Right now.
Oh, well, it is a great honor to introduce Ben Strauss-Knight and Ethan Renaud. They are with SOJ. They will tell you a little bit about themselves, but we could not be luckier to have their collective minds, power, contacts, and understanding of how to do what we're trying to do behind this effort. So.
Thank you, Judy, but I left my last role to step behind the curtain and stay away from the microphone, so, but thank you very much for the kind introduction. So Ethan and I work for a local project management firm called Shields, Oblitz & Johnson. We're based in Portland and Seattle. We've been around for over 30 years, and we specialize in the most complex projects. So we look for projects that have challenging problems. And their ability to take these projects out of order, like this idea that's been around for 20 or 30 years, pull them down, help define them, create the structure that can ultimately, hopefully, make them happen. So I joined SOJ about 2 years ago, and Ethan Renaud has been with SOJ for about 14 years.
Hi, so I'm Ethan Renaud. I've been with SOJ for quite a while now, and really project management is what I do. This project is ambitious, but it's nothing that intimidates us. We were really excited to get involved in it a few months ago. I've been working as a project manager on a whole bunch of different types of projects. We don't do a cookie cutter type of only one area. We like the complexity, so we do everything from community centers and parks and sports facilities, and then for the last couple of years I've been really focused on educational facilities. So I have a really deep understanding of schools. I've delivered elementary schools, middle schools, K-8. I'm working on a high school expansion right now. So it's really what I love. I get to share with my kids and see what they do on a daily basis and interacting with the spaces that I help to plan, design, and construct. And we're really excited about this project. We're going to talk a little bit about the project management structure we've set up and governance, and then land use and master planning, and then financing and fundraising.
So first I just want to say that we are early in this process, and there are many, many decisions to be made before we're at the point that we know this project is going to happen, before we know that construction is going to start. And so what we've put in place is a very deliberate governance structure and process that will lead everybody through those purposeful decisions, very much the way your leadership is taking you through, the moment that you're in here. So the first thing we did was assessed a number of organizations that were at the table. At the beginning, I think there were about 12 organizations that were talking about what could our role be in this shared community campus. We assessed the various strengths and weaknesses of those organizations. We assessed the readiness for those organizations to have a deeper conversation around a potential project, and the various leadership that was representing those organizations. From that, we distilled down to a group that we call the Project Governance Committee. This is a group that meets a couple times a month, talks about the various components, where the various agencies are in their decision-making, what components are really a priority that we need to see if there is a shared campus, and monitoring very closely the zoning and master planning exercises that are going on with the city of Mercer Island. And Ethan will talk a little bit about that in a moment. So we established that governance structure. We started to identify some subcommittees. Financing is going to be a really important part of this. Philanthropy is going to be a really important part of this. How the program comes together, right? How the space is used, and ultimately how this new campus could be governed, right? Is it a single entity? Is it a convergence of multiple entities? So we've laid all that out so that we can walk through those decisions. To help start to identify and sort through the relationships between different organizations, we brought on some expert legal counsel. So there's a firm in Seattle called Pacifica Law. One of the founders there is a fellow named Jerry Johnson. And he's represented complex organizations for almost 36 years in Seattle. The Seattle Art Museum, when they developed the new Seattle Art Museum and the adjacent property, which they actually owned and created a condo in Generates Revenue. He's been legal counsel for the Pike Place Market for over 30 years, so understands these complex interactions with multiple agencies and partners to start to sort through what would a potential structure look like. So that was an initial step we took. We've developed just a simple memorandum of understanding between the organizations. And this is, just on paper, it says, we agree that we're going to sit a couple times a month together. We agree that we're going to talk about the shared concerns and shared opportunities in this project. And the next big step we're going to take is looking at campaign feasibility. So what's the philanthropic capacity for this project? That's a really important question. This will be a major component of the funding potentially for the project. And we need to go out to the community and find out what pieces of this project resonate with potential donors and community members. So that's a process that's just starting now. So those are the main things that we put in place. There was a master planning exercise that was done when the zoning process started with the city of Mercer Island. It was almost 2 years ago. Very skilled architect, some of you may know Ed Weinstein. Very, very skilled architect helping with that process, and they're going through the master planning and land use. So I turn over to you to talk a little bit about that, and then overall sort of program development.
Right, so one of the precursors to developing this community campus is to rationalize the land use for the existing property on Mercer Island. So the JCC, as you probably know, and have been there, they own property. They have an adjacent owner, which is the French-American School of Puget Sound, which rents a building actually on the JCC's property, but the French-American School also owns property next to the JCC. And then across the street, East Mercer Way, Herzl Nertamid owns property as well. So essentially there is, in a way, an existing campus there, though it's not functioning like a campus. But the land use that underlays those property ownership is mostly residential. So it does not allow for any kind of rational development process to occur on those properties. So as Ben said, it's quite a long process. It started about 2 years ago. It's still going, and there's a community meeting happening as we speak right now, where the neighbors are very interested in what development's going to occur at that site, obviously. And so they are sort of midway through that process. There are various steps in order to get to a set of development regulations that will rationally guide development of a campus there, or whatever expansion happens of those existing facilities. Ed Weinstein, as Ben said, has been really instrumental in helping that move forward. He's a very experienced architect that we work with. And there's also experienced outreach folks who are making sure that the community and neighborhood is engaged in that process. So it ultimately will be successful both for the property owners and for the neighbors around. The other thing we worked with Ed Weinstein on is master planning in terms of, can we make sure that the agencies, whether it's 7 agencies, 3 agencies, or 12, will fit on this site, so that a campus is really achievable, to make sure all of the different square footage and program needs in the Jewish community with these agencies who are at the table right now, will this really make sense? Is more property needed to be acquired, and answer some of those threshold questions. So that's been happening over the last couple of months. Master planning is not design work. There's been no design work to date, but it's just really getting a sense of the land use, test to fit, and making sure that this is feasible from the architectural
want to share what the immediate next steps are. So I mentioned the hiring of campaign counsel. That's critical because that's going to allow all the agencies to really define what's the achievable total budget for this project, right? You take that total budget and then you come back and apply it to a program with a scale and phasing. So campaign counsel will help us refine that thinking, reach out to the philanthropic community and identify the range of potential fundraising to support the project. And then we have a committee that's working on the financing and development scenarios. So what might be the logical phases for this project? What are the logical pieces to fit together? What's the timing of that and what are the associated general costs? So those are the two pieces of work that are underway right now. And it'll be a few months as that work progresses, and I know that your leadership here will provide regular updates as the thinking evolves around this project. So we're honored to be a part of it. It is incredibly exciting. It is very, very complicated. Some of you in the room may be very familiar with development, processes. A very easy, simple, straightforward development with, just very few decision makers can run in the 3-year time frame from early concept through to execution. More complicated can run from 5 to 7 years, right? From that early concept through to absolute completion. So somewhere in that range is the arc we're on and the journey we're on, and we just really look forward to working with all of you as that what you continue to advance. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben and Ethan, for giving us the details of what the process is and honestly where we are in the process. And thank you, Judy and Elaine, also for just weaving it so beautifully together and weaving JDS into it as well. So I want to, I can make it work, thank all of you. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for your confidence, for your support, for your community, and of course, for your children. Please enjoy the reception. Go outside. It's beautiful. Eat, drink, take advantage of the board members who are here, and to get all of your questions answered. Thank you so much for joining us today.